We need some good bulbs up in here. There's some little bitty bulbs. It's these right here.
They ain't gonna never get right no light.
Okay, so I see myself, but I don't see. Okay, so I see myself, but I don't see. What happened?
Change your gallery view.
Okay. Thanks.
Now you might want to mute us until we start.
I cannot believe it worked this week. And it didn't.
Hi, y'all.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
I am so excited for this conversation tonight. I really am. Can everybody hear?
Yes.
It is 8:59. It's almost showtime, y'all. Let's see. Are we recording?
Yeah,
Let's get recorded. Oh,
we
we're
live.
We're live on
Actually,
Facebook.
we tried this Tuesday and it didn't work.
It did not. Okay, because I have some notes here that we're gonna go over. Just a few notes, just a few notes.
Okay, so what we're gonna jump into is how this
No,
started.
wait, no. Are we ready? Is everybody ready? Okay, Mr. Larry, are you gonna just show us your picture or are you gonna go live with us? Hi.
I like it. I love it.
Well, good evening. Now, I believe that we are live on Facebook, y'all. You know,
I just told you.
when I post this on YouTube, it might be edited, but you know, this is raw, it's real, and it is just, you know, whatever happens. We are on time tonight, okay?
And the live work tonight.
Yes,
Okay.
we are
I'm
on
just really
time.
excited about this.
We are getting so much better, you know. Okay, so here we are. So good evening and welcome to Let's Chat Dallas. Welcome. We are so glad that you guys chose to join us tonight. LaPrince, thank you for making us aware of this great project that you guys had going on. And so we're going to get into it and we're going to talk about it because I have so much to talk about. Tamika and Stormy, thank you guys for joining us. And I did ask you earlier if this was one of your projects with New Vision. And you said no, but you guys were so funny in the movie. And then I know that you deal with this issue also in your Behind Closed Doors series. So I thought that you would have a lot to contribute as we talk about not only the movie domestic, but also the issue of domestic violence, because as everyone knows, this is October Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Now, of course, we need to be aware of domestic violence all the time. We need to, not only be aware of it in our own lives, but also in the lives of the people around us, because that's one of the things that we deal with in the movie is Jonathan's friends becoming aware of his situation and also stepping in and everything. So, we're just going to get started. And so, most of our questions, I guess we're going to pretty much at first direct to LaPrince and Kay, Mr. Larry, because you guys are the main characters and everything, and then we'll just expand from there. So, let's get going, okay? Thank you guys for joining us.
So, Mr. Larry, did you write this script for this movie?
No, ma'am.
No. So this is not your production.
No.
I haven't seen it, so you just have to excuse me, but I'm trying to fill out so you're a character in the movie.
Yes, I am one of the main characters.
Okay, and who do you play?
I am Elton.
Elton. And what is your character about?
Well, my character is the abuser.
He's what? The abuser.
Yes, but can you give us because I didn't know who the kid was at the beginning of the movie, so that obviously ended up being Elton. Okay, you don't find that till later on. So can you give us a little bit of backstory on Elton and how he got to be where he is today?
So basically the story is when Elton was a kid, he watched his mother get beat by his father. And it kind of grew within him as he got older. And then that's where he suffers with, not keeping his hands to himself in certain situations.
Right. And I wanted to talk about that too, the idea of being in certain situations, because when we first meet Elton, he's actually in a heterosexual relationship. This movie deals with mainly domestic violence in same-sex relationships.
Oh, I'm definitely going to go watch it. I just haven't had time, but Elton, okay, so
when he starts out, he's got a girlfriend.
And
yes.
So was it did it shift automatically to you changing into a same sex, or was it along the way you changed?
Well, I was never interested in men. I met Jonathan, of course, and that's when my interest in men kind of went up.
So, Mr. LaPrince, you're Jonathan?
Yes.
Oh, I understand why your interest went up, sweetie. Yes, indeed. Okay, so I don't even like boys, and but so you met Jonathan, and
Yes.
how did that interaction come about? You just met him at a bar? I mean, I haven't watched it, so
Yeah.
Was it in a bar setting, at the gym? How did you become attracted? Or did you walk past?
I actually bumped into him first, but you have to actually watch the movie to see that.
I'm going to. Don't worry, I'm going to.
But the thing about it is, Jonathan, or I say Jonathan now. I know your name is Chris. But tell us a little bit about about Jonathan's character, LaPrince.
Well, basically, again, he's this openly gay male,
Mhm.
and runs into a situation where he ends up meeting this heterosexual male,
Okay.
and one thing leads to another. As you see in the movie, there was really no foundation on pretty much, Jonathan was a business person, ran a business and had a lot going on. And I think oftentimes that's what happens in real life is you have one particular person that has 85% going on good, and then sometimes the other person, whatever they got going on.
Mhm.
So who directed and wrote the movie?
So the director's name is Lamont Holly,
Lamont Holly, I'm gonna write it.
Hawley.
Okay. So that's where the script came from?
Yes, this whole project was his idea
Mhm.
and direction and his writing.
Okay, and so personally, has anybody, so let me just ask this, do you relate to Jonathan in real life? Have you ever had any situation of the sort as far as domestic violence?
When the script was wrote and presented, up until then, no. While it was being filmed, I experienced one night. Unlike Jonathan, I ended it that night.
Okay.
Baby.
And that's what we need to talk about. That
Your
is
strength.
That's what we
What
need to
made
talk
you, I mean, like
Right.
you said, it was
Right.
he was out, but what?
because as entertaining as the movie is, and even other movies, like it, and I'm not saying entertaining, it's a very serious topic because I think that in that, of course, like with the opening scene, Elton is seeing his mother getting beat, and he's actually telling her that's not what love is,
Right.
but as he grows up, I didn't, in the heterosexual relationship, it wasn't really just addressed that much, but it didn't look like he was the abuser. It looked like he was more submissive in that relationship, and then changed it, not changed because obviously there was an issue, but it was kind of a swift, am I on the right track with that?
You are.
Okay. So do you know how that happens? Are y'all just acting this out? Do y'all know how that happens? I know Tamika and so, y'all deal with this in behind closed doors. So, I mean, is that, does it change? Does roles change
Well, me,
from abuser to victim?
I would say everybody's different because it all depends. In domestic, it seemed like the female was the alpha in that relationship. And and that really could be it because I want to get with someone. If I really don't care, then it doesn't, it really doesn't matter. So if I care about somebody, then the inside may come out, and I say inside, and that's the abuser part. Because I don't want you to leave me. I don't care if she left me, but he didn't want Jonathan to leave him. So that's when that abuser just came out to, and that control and that protector, all that mixed up in one. So that's what I got from it.
Right. So that's what I was looking at in that character, Larry, is that Mr. Larry, excuse me, is that the change that was made from abuser to victim.
I believe that it probably started with the relationship with Ashley and Elton. With her being so aggressive, he really didn't. He was the one that was being submissive in that situation. But once it went over to another guy, being with another guy, he had to be the one to be the aggressor. But I think that all that animosity and anger stemmed from the relationship with Ashley, plus the situation with his mother and his father.
Okay, so we all got it established. I have not watched it, okay? But what is the excuses that are being told to Jonathan that is keeping Jonathan where he is in this relationship?
Good question.
It is a good question because I don't think there was too many excuses. It was just the fact that Elton didn't want to be by himself, basically.
And that's where I want to go. The causes of this type of situation. Because one thing that I noticed in that, because we're dealing with same sex now, domestic violence is domestic violence. It doesn't have a gender, okay? It's not specific to a relationship type. It can occur in any situation, And so, but the question was that it opened the door to the question is homosexuality a result of abuse? of the abuse that a child might suffer. And I asked you, and let me just expound on that, because I'm in the conversation with Elton and his mother. Okay. She, I wrote it down, hold on. What'd she say? She said that she knew when he was a child. Okay, and a lot of our parents do know. As whatever situation we're in, whether we're in a, abusive home, a single parent home, two parents, whatever, usually the parent has some inkling, whether they accept it or not is up to them. But Elton was in an abusive situation, but in his mother, she said she knew that he would when he was a child, but she questioned his manhood, not because he was gay, but because he was abusive to Jonathan. She said he was less than a man because he put his hands on his partner, not because he was gay. And that to me opened up the door to that age-old question, is because in the movie, in the conversation between Elton and Jonathan, they talk about, were you abused as a child? Is that why you're gay and all that kind of stuff? And his mother really blew that out the water. That's why I wanted to know who wrote this, because that, even in that 1 hour, addressed that question that people always, try to address. So y'all can go whoever want to take off with that.
Go ahead, LaPrince.
I mean, it plays a part, but not all people that are same gender, especially on the homosexual side, are abused physically. So I think it came down to the mom was just basically trying to teach Elton, man up and handle your situation as a man. And men are not to be, acting out a certain way. And I think with a lot of men, they tend to have to prove their manhood by being aggressive.
Right.
Sorry.
And Keith, can you also address that? Because I'm sure in that you understand, where that question comes from.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I feel like, well, he said that a lot of the men really don't be abused when they're dating other men, but for me, I was in this situation before. So I think with her trying to address the situation, I think that she was just trying to remind me of her situation.
Right.
And put it out there like, your daddy used to do this to me. So why are you doing this to Jonathan? You know better than that. You used to tell me that's not love. So why are you doing this?
Well, I gotta go watch this movie when I leave her. I'm not ready, and I'm gonna have to, because you know what? In that, the question of that is, I mean, any of us can have that history of having, as a child, of being, having someone forbidden to try to approach us sexually. And so in that, it's like, does that make a person homosexual, that abuse? And then that, that's the question of, how did you become gay? That was Elton's question. How did you become gay? Did somebody abuse you? But Elton's mom is saying, I knew you were gay. That's not what makes you a lesbian man. It's the abuse. And so I just want to just step in, because with that, as we, open up the topic, I always have a spiritual message, okay? So tonight's spiritual, actually what we're getting ready to discuss comes from Matthew chapter 19, where Jesus talks about a eunuch. Okay, now we'll do our research and we'll, understand what a eunuch is. And Jesus replied, not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others. And there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it. Okay. And so in that, that is where when people ask, did Jesus address homosexuality in the Bible? Okay. And to me, this is with him addressing homosexuality in the Bible. Okay. And he said, just like Elton's mom said, I knew you were gay when you were born. That's not what made, that's not what made the situation. That's not what made you abusive. You were abused. Okay. You've seen that. You've seen it happen to me. So how dare you put your hands on someone else? And because he was also looking at that as the reason for his attraction to another man. Did I get y'all off?
Yeah.
I'm learning as well as trying to teach. You know what I'm saying? So, at any point you can jump in, because that's, even as we're talking about domestic violence and same-sex relationships, it also goes back to people having the question of, how did you become gay? I don't believe that any abuse that I suffered made me become gay. It might have made me, broken, it might have made me toxic.
Yeah, I don't think that abuse will make you become gay. I think that, I take that back.
Abuse can make.
It is a certain type of abuse that has a factor in it. I would say it has a factor.
But that is not
like you were saying, right?
Well, that's
at the end of the day, you do have your
own. The Bible gives us 3 reasons why a man will become a eunuch. Either he was born that way, which Elton's mother is telling, you were born that way. He can be made that way because of abuse, because someone abused him and caused him to, to end up not having an affinity towards the opposite sex or something like that. So there's some that are born, some that are made that way, and some that choose to be that way.
But okay, so I think I may be a little confused. I'm a little touched. So we just kind of, back to the.
It's okay, because we're going to work it out to everybody tonight.
Elton abused as well as Elton's mother.
Yes.
Yes, they both.
Okay, so see, this is where I'm just like, well, what? He didn't get abused.
Because if we look at the relationship between this toxic couple in the bar that's played by Tamika and Storm,
I was just about to ask how y'all.
That's a different movie.
I ain't writing, but
that's a different movie. That's not in domestic. That's
that she's in domestic. They're in domestic, and they have a pretty toxic relationship in that movie. Okay, don't you think?
So y'all are in.
Oh, it was domestic, girl. I guess it was, child. Don't get me tripping, huh?
You thought it was normal.
Look here. I done so much. I'd have been asleep and woke up and sleep again. You heard me? So don't pay me no mind.
I tried to take a nap. It just did not work today.
She a cheater. She a cheater. That's what that was.
Okay.
You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
She a cheater.
But I mean, but that's another form of abuse. Infidelity is another form of abuse. Okay.
She's a habitual
and it leads to.
No, I wasn't no habitual cheater.
She
with my eyes.
She a cheater.
Which
if you watched it, I said she got the girl phone number.
She got the girl phone number. Y'all got phone number.
I just got the phone number. That's all it was.
You weren't supposed to get the phone number though. No, but you weren't supposed to get the number.
But it was
had a number.
Because she crazy. She crazy. And then she started giving out free drinks. What?
Okay, so you got the girl number, she gave out free drinks. So she like, let me show you. Is that how that was? Or
she could have been a vendor.
But actually, the title
won the job. You never know. But she took it. Old Pat over here took it to a whole nother level.
Right. So the whole show under domestic, because it doesn't say domestic violence, it just says domestic. So we're actually just dealing with several different domestic situations, actually, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot of people fail to realize that when you're dealing with domestic situations, the most important thing starts off with mental.
Right.
So mostly, not all the time is it always physical.
Right.
Before mental, sometimes it's even verbal, which causes the mental.
Mhm.
And then unfortunately, sometimes you end up going into the physical. When you're in the domestic situations, if you really study and research it, it also starts with control,
Mhm.
and wanting to manipulate.
Mhm.
All of that plays a huge factor into domestic situations.
Mhm. Right. It definitely is because abuse, I was just taking notes and writing down several different forms of abuse that I saw in this situation. Of course, physical, mental, financial. Okay. I mean, there at least a little bit of that.
Yeah, because it
Emotional,
costs a lot of money.
you know, spiritual, sexual. Because I mean, this is now we after dark because essentially Elton rapes Jonathan.
You caught that.
Of course I caught it.
Not a lot of people caught that.
Yeah, that was rape.
Yeah, it was.
And that occurs in a lot of relationships. And sometimes people don't, you know, a long time. There have been women that have been raped in their marriages, you know, and in any situation, partner abuse, period. And because they're in a relationship, they don't count it as rape.
Correct. We had a
Yeah.
whole discussion on Facebook about that. If we're married, if you're married and your partner comes in, you not in the mood, but they are, and they just take it, is that rape? And I said yes. As a matter of fact, that's how I met Lamont Howley. It's because we were in that conversation. He said, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm so serious." And we went into a whole thing, but it was he didn't believe that, but he was playing that devil's advocate on that.
Right.
So so going through that, it was a lot of people that believed that that was not rape. And I
Mm.
was like, and it was a lot of women that believed that it wasn't rape.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, that's rape. If you say no, no means no, whether you
Any-
married, in a relationship, anything, it's no means no. That's it.
Period.
So
So that, I mean, that was, I mean, definitely a very serious topic. And, you know, I think it's important to identify those things because as that goes on, that control, I mean, the worst thing to lose control of is your body, your bodily functions, because Elton loses control of his bodily functions, not only as a child, but as an adult.
Yeah.
And that's important. I mean, we have to address these things. We have to talk about it. It's important. That's the whole reason for having the movie, right? I mean, of course, we're to be entertained, but not really. It's to get a message across into America for people to understand, so that they can heal. You know, you can't heal from something if you can't identify that if you can't identify the problem. It's always going to be an open wound. Okay, and it's not even just in one relationship. You'll carry that same. We talked about this one last week. Yes, well, you'll carry that into every relationship because you know until you get it within yourself. So the problem is not just with the abuser. The problem is with the abused as well. Both people have to heal. They should work.
Yeah, you're right.
I've done seen some situations. I've never been in them personal. But
Yeah,
I mean, well, verbal abuse is okay. So I can't say I haven't because verbal abuse
you do need to think about it.
Yeah, you know, verbal abuse is just as bad as any other abuse. Even worse.
Abuse is abuse.
yeah, I think verbal is worse.
You know, I do too because they try, you know, in the beginning it's I'm gonna build you up type thing, and then once you get into it, it's you was all this and you ain't worth nothing, ain't nobody like you. And
Well, I've learned, I mean, that's all signs of red flags right there. Because what the heck do you really want?
right.
And what after? Um, I healed. Of course, I didn't have physical scarring. Again, I was not like Jonathan and ended it that night and sent her behind to jail. So it wasn't, you know, you people don't understand the power of the verbal abuse.
Right.
And I agree with Stormy that sometimes the verbal abuse can last a lot longer than a hit upside the face.
Yeah, if you don't self-love yourself, that is very much true.
But see, even before the even self-love, sometimes you can love yourself, but certain people are put in positions where they feel like they have to have this person,
Right.
whether it's a financial, some people put up with it for a place to stay.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that they don't love themselves.
Because I
They,
think a lot of it
yeah,
is. Go ahead.
But let me say for
Wait,
me,
no.
well,
Stormy, you saying something?
I can't hear.
I can't hear you. Can you turn up your volume? Stormy?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think a lot of it is people hope this person's going to change.
Mhm.
I think that's the huge part, because because you got to realize abuser don't come to you as an abuser.
Right.
They send their representative first. So they're gonna send you that nice person that wine and dine you, buy you gifts and everything. And then the first thing they do is get you alone and get you secluded where you don't have anybody. They might start shutting off your friend. I don't like
I,
Yes,
I don't like this person. I don't like your family. So they start, isolating you. So once they get you isolated, that's when the abuse actually starts happening. They start verbally abusing you, or maybe even physically, because now they feel like you don't have nobody and you have to depend on them. Where the prince said that's that control. I have to control you to make you do what I want because now you got to depend on me.
Mhm.
You know, and so going through that, the person that's getting abused is always having that hope that that other person will come back because you already showed it to me, so I know it's there.
it's there.
They gonna change, and that's what the abuser tell you. I'm gonna change. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. And then they'll flip it and say, "Well, if you didn't do this, I wouldn't have did this."
Right.
Mhm.
I
You
take
know,
that to the Miss Seeley and Mr. type thing. The only thing Seeley wanted was her sewing bag so she could leave Mr. That's all she wanted because he was verbally abusing her.
yeah.
Yes, the color purple. That's like my, like literally, like
That's your go-to
Yes,
abusive
because
relationship. It is the worst.
he was the worst. Like
I don't know if it's work because now on the Tyler Perry movie, what is it? A wedding? What is it? Where
Why did I get
Diary
married?
of a Mad Black
yeah,
Woman.
that one
Diary
or
of
the
a Mad
family.
Black Woman, yeah.
you said what?
It was two
Oh,
of them because
his stuff,
the family that stays together with the sister that was supposed to get married with
What I'm talking about, the sister.
Blair Underwood.
Yeah, Blair Underwood. He done beat her up, and then what he do? Turn around and be nice, for have all this nice stuff, and he had money, and she wanted to get out, but her mother made her. So that's another thing.
Yeah, that's another
And
thing.
her mother was abused too. So
can
she's like, look, you got to do this for the family because I did it for the family.
Right.
And those are the
And that's-
reasons that people
You
stay.
can't break a generational curse.
Yeah, you gotta break that generational curse. Though.
Yeah, 'cause that'll keep going. That indeed.
But some people do choose to stay. And they stay for those reasons. And so that is really the reason to heal. Because
People stay.
I think a
People
lot
stay
of
because that's what they're used to as well.
yeah,
that as well, but I think a lot, especially with women in church, because old
tradition.
old tradition, old ignorant tradition, and I'm not scared to say it,
That,
old ignorant tradition and old
do you hear you?
teaching taught women that you were to stay with your husband based off the Bible.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
not Bible. Bible does not teach you to put up with stuff like that.
Because you're not supposed to be unequally yoked.
Well, if you were really yoked, you wouldn't have got into it in the first place. But that's a whole different,
Story.
yeah.
I get that.
It,
But
it's
that's one of the things behind healing is that you know, in these situations, now, of course, in the movie, Jonathan leaves Elton.
I was just about to ask, do he ever get the courage to?
He does, but this is after, he's been isolated from his friends, for a while. He has been, so controlled to the fact that, his friends start missing him and all that kind of thing. But eventually, then he starts making excuses. He's making excuses. Jonathan made excuses for why he had a black eye. You know, he didn't mean it.
Mhm.
He ain't gonna do it again.
The favorite lines of
He gonna do it again.
every
He
time.
gonna do it until he can't do it no more.
Or until you tired of him doing it.
Right? So I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's a very short film, but it does address just about every area, in that domestic violence affects all of us, because we see Jonathan's friends being concerned, not just by his absence, but for his well-being. We see even Elton's mom getting involved, and everybody coming to, and I think that in that it was when everybody kind of started coming to Jonathan's aid that he got the courage to leave. Is that how? I mean,
Yeah.
but is that what has to happen? Because people are alone in those situations and may not have, may have been so isolated from friends and family that they don't, they feel alone by the time they actually get to the point that they have no other choice but to leave.
Well, isolation is very powerful, and people don't understand it. So when you're in a situation such as that, it will cause you um, to feel as though you're alone,
Right.
and which will cause you to not believe in yourself.
Mhm.
Although Jonathan had a very successful, good job, he didn't need the money.
Mhm.
The movie never went into the whole, you know, it wasn't about the money. Jonathan was already successful.
Mhm.
So the money wasn't even an issue.
So was it love that kept Jonathan, or was it the codependency of being alone? Like what kept Jonathan?
I think that his infatuation with Elton is what kept him there. It wasn't until Elton put his hands on him to where he started declining in his infatuation. So I think his infatuation with Jonathan, because if you watch the movie in the beginning, um, Jonathan was very infatuated with Elton.
Mhm.
So, and then as the movie started going to the end, he started showing his true colors. Like he didn't care for Elton no more. So I think it was the infatuation.
Mhm.
Look at how he did. He was like, wait, what?
I mean, I agree with Mr. Mister on that one. I do think that's what, I don't think it was really his friends. I think Jonathan just got fed up and tired. And
Mhm.
I want to go. I'm
Now,
not with this anymore.
It take you to get tired.
they do. That's why I'm saying. If you ain't tired, then who? They not gonna get tired for sure.
I think that the whole thing, probably in both situations, was this, or it really in on both sides in partner abuse, whether you're the so-called victim or the abuser, both of them suffer from a certain amount of self-love deficit. That's the new term for codependency, self-love deficit disorder. Okay? Yes, it is.
I mean, I just used codependency and not
I
trying to
mean,
tell somebody.
you have to evolve, but that's
What's
why
that diagnosis?
You could have said it's not codependency anymore. Then she want to come out and use it later.
I wrote both
It's
of them
okay.
down. But it's like, but in that, as we evolve and as we learn and as we come to understand that on both parts, you really can't say whether you're the victim or the abuser, the aggressor, or the, whatever, in some way, both people are abusing and getting abused. Do y'all disagree?
Kind of for you.
I kind of disagree.
Because I mean, if you're being abused and your self-esteem is low and you were in a place where, I don't see how you would be the abuser. The only abuse I would say you were doing would be with yourself, because you allowed yourself to go through the situation, and you got people trying to help you, but you don't want it because you're not tired. So the only abuse that you would be giving would be to yourself.
And it's still abuse.
Well, it is. But you said they would abuse each other, and I don't.
It's still the same. I think that, in that way, maybe they both weren't doing the physical hitting and all that. But if you, the one thing that the little boy said, you got to love yourself before you can love him. Oh, the mother said that you got to love yourself before you can love him. And I think that kind of goes both ways, because you won't allow yourself to get abused if you love yourself.
I disagree on that one. And just because some people stay in abusive relations to protect their children, because they don't want their children to get abused. So I still say they have self-love, but they also selfless, because they like, look, as long as I'm here, I can protect my kids.
And did that work for Elton?
But even as a single person with no kids, like Stormy said earlier, Jonathan just got tired. It doesn't mean you don't love yourself. Mm-hmm. I think with some people it's like, oh well, they'll change.
Yeah, it goes back to that hope.
And not only that, for me, the way I see it is, if you're dealing with a narcissistic person, realize that you're dealing with.
She said, what you said?
A narcissist.
Narcissist.
What it boils down to, if you don't realize that when you're dealing with that person and they get you mentally, it's not. I don't particularly think that it's that you just don't love yourself. They got a portion. They paid enough attention to you to know how they can manipulate and get your vulnerable points. And when they get that vulnerable point, then that's what they feed on and they prey on. And by doing that, when you have in your mind set, I'm done, I'm done, then they use that moment that they know that's gonna get you and reel you in. So a lot of people, some people, and when we was talking to the Genesis Women Outreach Center, they said this as well. Some women, they will get with men or women, and when they get with them, they stay with them because of something that they may say that'll hold them and keep them. Whether, like when she said that they were threats. When she was talking about, people were saying, if you leave, I'm gonna give you the corona or whatever the case may be. Or they were saying, or they threaten and say that I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say that. And if a person values their credibility, say in the business world or anything of the sort, it'll get them to stay. And they start to try to, at that point, now they're working up a plan in their head, a master plan of how I can try to get out of this, right? Still maintain my dignity and stay alive, so they start doing, sometimes they make calculated moves, and the move may not be when you want it to be. And so therefore you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're staying in this abusive relationship, they don't give a shit about themselves. And that may necessarily not be the truth. They may be trying to make a calculated move to how they can get out of that situation and at a certain point. The same way I saw it with domestic, because Jonathan did experience where Elton had some bad dreams about what was going on with him, right? And so, Jonathan tried to be there for him. But in the same token, after a while, he probably was making some calculated moves in his head of how I can get out this situation, because this boy whooping my ass. Right. And I feel sorry for him for what the hell he's going through. But messing with his mind. But at the end of the day, his mind, mind ain't more important.
I gotta go.
And that is true, because think about it. A lot of us are givers, and the main thing we want to do is help somebody when we see them in need. And it, like Tamika said, you know, Elton knew what he was doing. He knew how to push the buttons and how to get, you know, Jonathan back to him. You know, because I can sit here and cry and whine, and that's what abusers do. They are manipulative, as LaPrince said. They mostly narcissists. You know, that's what they do. And so, if anybody has low self-esteem, it's going to be the abuser.
Right.
Because I don't feel like I'm good enough to keep you, so I'm gonna teach you something. I'm gonna make you love me by beating you up, talking down to you, trying to make you feel less than.
Now that's crazy. That's crazy.
The most when people is hurt, they try to make the other person feel the same way, and then that's when your insecurity starts.
And the logic is pretty insane, you know, to think that.
Always told to me when I was going through my abusive relationship, and they always attacked my face. And one thing that was told to me, and it stuck with me for years, is they attack your face because you're pretty. So if they mess your face up, nobody else is gonna want you.
Yeah,
right. So they attack your vulnerable points. They attack the things that you care about the most. If you care about your hair, guess what? They gonna always pull your hair. They gonna do something, cut it, whatever the case. If you always care, you know, if you care about your clothes, what does most people do when they care about their clothes and material things? They burn it, bleach it. Okay, if you care about your job, what they gonna do? They gonna I've been there now. That one, they gonna try to get whatever it is, those most vulnerable parts of things that you care about. If you know, you know, it's so funny, and I told somebody this, they was like, what? In previous relationships, I always tried to show a balance. Like I didn't care about one thing more than the other. That way, when they would try to do things, it was hard to try to figure out what they could do to hurt me the most, because I tried to show a balance where I didn't care more about my car, I didn't care about my face, like that. So that way, you got to try to figure out what you can take.
And it's gonna take you a while, and by that time, I'm gonna find my way out. Okay.
Marie, I wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. So I do have to leave. Unfortunately, I have another event that I have to go to, and I'm running a little behind schedule. But thank you so much for at least taking time to watch the movie and have this discussion with it.
Absolutely. Thank you, LaPrince, for bringing this to our attention. We're gonna let LaPrince go, but if y'all mind hanging around for a couple more minutes, you got us. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So yeah, but what are we gonna go?
Okay, because I was gonna say we're talking about domestic, because we're gonna get on behind closed doors. Because Mika, in behind closed doors, you were the abuser. So how is that?
It's the same as with this one.
I mean,
you were the abuser in this one too? No, well, kind
the
of.
toxic.
Kind of.
No.
But that's the same thing that happened with Elton, is that he was abused or saw his mother abused as a child, the same as Zoe in behind closed doors, and then but grew up to be the abuser.
And it's, you know, to hear you say you've been in a situation, to see you play, I mean, you've been in a situation, so you should have it down pat. Oh my God, you are so convincing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
We going off here.
Why she so convincing? She abusive, no.
But no, I mean, to see you play a character and you've been in an actual relationship that you were the abusee, and to play it on screen, how is that? Like, is it tough, or does it bring out emotion?
You know what?
Say no.
So let me tell you. Let me give you a little background on myself where you can kind of see. So I was brought up with my parents. My father was abusive to my mother. Then my mother finally got her strength, I guess, over the years, and so then she returned the abuse. So because she did that, then it made my dad go, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like, okay. So
Yes, I've been in relationships where I was abused, but also in the same token, what it did was kind of gave me more of a somewhat of a hard exterior. So because it did that, what is turned, and I had to try to tone it down at some, and what it did was made me more aggressive in my approach with certain situations and certain people because I was so used to being attacked first that it made me attack verbally to people first, because of that.
That's a defense mechanism.
Yes.
Correct. And so I had to learn, and I'm still a work in progress.
Like, we don't never stop working.
You know, thanks to my lovely wife over here,
Okay.
But sometimes I catch myself, and then sometimes I don't. But getting into the Zoe role, it's kind of funny because I talk to men a lot differently than I talk to women. I am a lot harsher with men because I feel like you're a man and you take it, right?
Right.
And then for women, I'm a little bit more different. So, it being Zoe and behind closed doors, it was easy and hard all in the same. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm used to being so aggressive with a man anyway that I feel like you can take it.
Right.
So if I was playing the role of my sister where I actually was being with a woman, then that role would have been a little different for me.
Right.
And then it probably would have touched me a lot differently because I've been in those situations. It's parts where I see where Stormy films her in the mirror and I finally see it and they hadn't even put it all together yet. And then I cringe. And then I make fun with Stormy because I'm like, damn, you came up with that part real good. Is that what you really want to do secretly?
She said that.
But I mean, I think we channeled something differently from every cast member. It's a lot of cast members that have not gone through the things that we are making them go through. So they're having to, pay attention. They listen to what we say and then they just kind of feed off of that. And so we are literally pulling a lot out of all of our cast members and being in a different role. And I think, once Stormy relates to me exactly how she wanted me to be, then I just kind of just channeled a different person to be that person that I need to be on screen.
Okay, because I subscribe to the All channel. Really, I did. I've been watching. I got a new guy, baby, so I ain't really just been able to sit down, but I've been watching and I'm like, oh, okay then. I like it. I like it.
And I do want to just make a statement on that one because that's one topic that hasn't been touched either. Is male, male abuse.
Right.
I don't think men can get abused, but they can. And that's where she showcased that, that aspect of it because men get abused. They not, they can be victims too, but let them go to the police and say my wife beat me up.
Or my boyfriend beat me up.
Yeah, or my boyfriend.
Because with this, because I just want to kind of bring that back to the topic in domestic of the same-sex abuse, because is the help there for victims in a same-sex relationship to be able to, that whole escape thing. We did the interview with Genesis, but Genesis is a women's shelter, women and children. So in the same sex, even in a lesbian relationship, they might be able to use women's shelters. Well, where can our men go to find that assistance? I'm answering my own question. I did go to stonewall.org, okay, and we know Stonewall, that historic revolt in the LGBT history. But stonewall.org does offer some resources for partner abuse. And so, but I'm like right here in Dallas. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't get there that far, but in this month, we still have 15, 16 more days. By the end of the month, we're going to have some information on where
people in same-sex relationships can go to for help and counseling, because there is a lot of shame, a lot of self-blame, because if you have two men in a relationship, then they're gonna be like, okay, who's the victim, who's the abuser? Are y'all just two men fighting each other? Or, and it's not so in that we have no respecter of person, because both people need help.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And see, in that one, I would say, because a lot of people want to reach out to the police first, right? I mean, because that's just natural. That's what we talk. Call the police, they help you.
Right.
In same sex, no, they don't really help you. You might get
They gonna take both of y'all to jail.
yeah, you might get a few, but a lot of them they're not gonna take it seriously. But they have domestic centers that help men, women. They have family domestic violence and all that stuff. So they help everybody, help the family. So there is resources out there. I don't have any names at this point, but if you need it, I can send them to you. But there is help. You just need to seek it.
And
And
there is this a website called men2men.org.
Okay.
And in that website, it talks about domestic violence against the LGBT, the gays, and the bisexuals, and everything like that. So it's a resource for people to go and be counseled in situations like this. Because I know for me, I'm 32, of course, but before there was no resources for us.
Mhm.
And I only say that because as a teenager, I went through this. I went through a domestic violence relationship with same sex. So, and in order for me to get out, like Stormy was saying earlier, I think it was either Stormy or Tanika, but they were saying how you plot to get out of the situation. Well, that's something that I had to do. I had to plot and try to figure out how can I get myself out of the situation. And it wasn't until I actually graduated high school, went off to college that was 6 hours away from where I live, that I actually got out the situation. So that's the only way I was able to help myself.
Yeah.
Right. And that was strength
So
for
like
you.
I didn't have that resource.
That was
And that was
strength.
some strength for you to actually leave and go to college, to get yourself out of that certain situation. Because like I said, you didn't have any resources. Did you have anybody that was trying to help pull you out of the situation? So you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps and you got yourself out of there. I salute you.
Honestly, that situation, I had to pull myself out of that situation. There was nobody I could really talk to at the time because, either people didn't believe what I was saying or
Right.
oh, it
How
was
did
just
you
a
come to the
phase.
realization Keith, that you were pretty much on your own and needed to depend on your own resources? Because
Yeah.
sometimes that's all you have. All you have is you and the Lord. And
Yeah, you
sometimes you don't
can
even know
sometimes
you don't know that, you don't get that part until later on that God got me out of this. Sometimes you only feel like this, that you're really alone. So how did
you see that it say God don't play about me. I mean this is for real. God
Real.
don't play about me.
Me.
Like it's for real. I had to really pull myself out of a situation like that. People don't realize when you are a teenager, you're going through this as a teenager. And then you're also having to go to school. You have to come home and go to work or, get a job. That's a lot for a teenager to even go through. So for somebody to pull themselves out of a situation like that, they have to be a strong individual, but you have to have that right mindset as well to get yourself out that situation.
right?
Because not only does that lead into people not being there for you, but it also leads into you feeling like you're by yourself and you're alone. And that's another whole topic that we could talk about, being alone.
Oh, we're gonna have a
Because
whole.
I mean, in the LGBT families, like they have to build their own families with people that's been kicked out the house.
Yes.
We have to build our own family because people don't believe what we're saying. It's just a phase. People say it's just a phase,
I've
and
been
it's not
wrong
just a phase.
for a long time.
okay.
So sometimes it's kind of like that when men say, "Oh, just be a man, just be a man about it."
What
You
is
basically telling
that?
somebody to hide their feelings, and that's
Right.
the same way with our LGBTQ. You telling people to hide their feelings when you say, "Oh, please, I don't want to hear that mess." You're not gay. It's just a phase. You saying the same thing. Hide your feelings. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, that's the worst thing you can actually say to me. And you can ask my parents. A phase? What? Does that matter with anything that's going on in my world right now? I mean, if it's a problem, it's a problem. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. If I'm having an issue, damn it, you're supposed to be there. And I don't want to hear that. It's a phase.
And sometimes they're not there. Okay. Sometimes they're not there. Sometimes they can leave you to your own devices. And that's, pretty much what happened, of course, with you when you said that, your only escape was college. And I think that was a great escape.
Right.
That was really a great escape
like that.
to choose yourself. And that's what the whole issue is to choose yourself, as a person who's going through domestic violence, or with the abuser. There's nothing that you can do to help them. Okay. Honestly, there's nothing that you can do to help them. You need to go inward and help yourself and get yourself. I mean, that's something that I had to do for myself, and decide that it was that the most important person has to be me.
But some people don't have that strength.
Some people don't. So we have to get this information out here, like mentomen.org and stonewall.org, to put those resources in the hands of people who need them, so that they can heal and they can, do something better with their lives. And, I mean, I've always been a proponent of, if you have something worth working out, work it out. But if you don't, then, you can move on. It's okay to move on.
Yeah.
And some people
don't want to even talk about it.
What they also, I wanted to say is that they don't reach out to their family members because of embarrassment.
Right, the shame.
So it may not be necessarily that they won't be there for them. It's just that they're embarrassed and ashamed, and so they don't want to involve them.
Right.
And then they don't want to be looked at in a certain light. Because I know that that's what really happened with my journey, is that, I knew that my grandparents and my mother and all of them would be there. They would probably show up with their sneakers on. I know my brother would.
Okay, because we got
Vaseline. But I didn't want to involve them. Number one, because I was embarrassed because it was a woman. Because I remember my uncle saying to me when he did find out, is that he couldn't understand how all my life, all the fights in my life have been with men. I have boxed dudes to the T. I mean, to box them like you would have thought I was another boy. But when it came down to a female, I would never fight back. And he could not understand how the hell you been fighting me in all your damn life. Didn't have not one fight with one girl all my life. And then all of a sudden I get with females and I just
love her.
Is that a lesbian thing?
Yeah, so he said,
what that is.
I didn't want to hurt her.
And I was like, I don't know. And it was
but that's important, Tamika, if they're in a same-sex relationship, because I know I put up with a whole lot more with women than I ever would with a man. Okay, and that happens in same-sex relationships, and that's why I wanted to carve out our niche in that, because maybe sometimes we don't look at it the same way. Like I would never let a man put his hands on me. It will be a man, like the first time it will be like over and done with, period. But in same sex, in lesbian relationships, I know that I put up with way more than I ever should have or would have if it had been in a hetero relationship.
I don't even think I've actually had a hetero relationship to actually say it. But I was like you, I fought boys most of my life.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But I fight girls too.
You get with a female, then they just get the bump they
Yeah, you like, you know what? Going on.
I mean, because it's just like, I don't know.
It's the mental and emotional.
It's a psychological thing.
It got you, because it's like, I don't want to hurt you. Because you're a female, and I know what I do to these dudes, so I know if I put my hands on you,
because I'm like, if I can hit a dude and make it
talking about.
I'm
I
boxing.
know I can hit you and block you.
Right, and lay you flat. I'm trying to save your life, girl.
I'm boxing anybody. Come to me if you want to.
I mean, but you live, you learn, you know. I bet you won't look like that now. I bet you won't look like that now.
If you try to hit me, you would get knocked out. I don't care who you are.
I'm
And
right.
if I can't knock you out, I'm gonna try my best to knock you out.
But when you in love,
I'm gonna knock you out.
love got to do. You know, even seeing the world back and reach. Yes, calm your pit bull over. See that about the Frito, somebody. Please, anybody, somebody. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you how it goes.
But it's the truth though. It's the truth, and I think that
I've never. My mom hasn't been in an abusive relationship, but my sister had. My sister was in an abusive relationship, and I saw how he almost killed her. And we had to go and get her and, make sure, everything was okay. But she ended up going, she went back. She went back. And I was like, why? Well, he said he gonna change. Girl, haven't you seen the movie? They ain't gonna change.
They never change.
But
they ain't get no counseling. They not changing nowhere.
Oh, he ain't changing. It ain't changing. And it was a big old story because, he, like I said, he almost killed her, but she got away. Because she actually remembered something that I told her. She acted like she went limp and like she died. And so he left her alone. Right. So when he went to sleep, she was able to get away.
Okay.
Well, he went to go look for her. What you gotta do? Yeah, he went to go look for her and went over to her friend's house where he ended up killing her friend and stabbing the son 7 times in the stomach. Yeah, so he's on death row now. But he's still appealing, trying to get off. But that's the story, like I say, I've never been abused, and I've never been, anytime somebody hit me, like I said, I would knock you out, and I mean
that's big old facts.
And I'm gonna get you. You're gonna die some way if you put your hands on me. That's just it.
So clearly, it ain't no abuse going on over there.
We know that, honey. Y'all know well over there.
I would say some of the years of me and being in relationships, I know when to walk away.
Choose my corner, because this ain't even worth it tonight. I love you, baby. I'll talk to you.
And this it. So, but the thing, reason I wrote, start writing what I, behind closed doors was because I wanted people to be tolerant. I want you to understand, what people go through, and it's not always about you.
Right.
Most of the time when people lash out, it's about them. And it's something that you said that triggered that reaction.
That's what it goes to. They need counseling. Like, our people don't like to go get help. They don't like that. Like, they would rather not. Because we was taught what goes on in our house stays in our house. And they don't want to, as they get older, it's just in them because they don't talk about it to anybody.
It's the whole shame. It's the shame.
Generational.
I don't mind going to the white people and laying on their sofa. Do you?
Baby.
I don't mind, honey. And if you feel like I'm crazy enough, go on to write me a
check.
a check, a prescription, something.
Give me a check. I need it out.
But in the Black communities, the more thing they tell you to do, go pray about it.
Go talk to Jesus. You can talk to Jesus.
What if I don't know
that's what you want to do.
And Jesus will tell you what to do.
And if you do it, you'll be all right.
What if I don't know how to pray? And that's what a lot of people do. What if I don't know how to pray? What if I don't want to pray? What if I
don't believe in what I'm praying in? So again, it goes.
I'm like,
and that's why the door should be opened up for people to come and talk to each other. That's why that door needs to be open. And because if I can't talk to somebody over here, I can't talk to somebody over here. I need to talk to somebody. I don't trust the counselors with my information, and my friends don't care too much about what's going on. My parents don't care too much about what's going on. So who do I talk to? Right. So that's why we have to have that open ear for other people to come and talk to us and lay it out on what they're going through, because a lot of us have been through situations like this and we can help other people. Yes. So it's important for us to have that open ear.
It is definitely important because, and I mean, like you always saying, everybody is not spiritual. They don't believe in whatever. I mean, and you have to be open to that, to be that flesh and blood You know, because if people don't have the faith enough to see past their own self, then, you know, you have to be that flesh, that 3D person to be able to say, I've been through this. I know what you, even if you haven't been through it, I'm open enough to know that there are some things that are involved here that if I give myself to the situation, then I can help somebody else.
Yep. I can empathize with you. And then
Yeah,
when I
at least that much. Empathize, have compassion, have love, you know, and be open. And even those of us who might be in a position to help, you know, to not judge a person that is going through a any type of an abuse situation, to, you know, to be open minded, to be open hearted, to not be like, well, you need to leave, because sometimes it takes a minute, you know, for you to either get the courage or the resources to leave.
but I mean, but the thing about it is, if I talk about it, then I can start building the plan because now I'm like, you know what? Because once you verbalize it and your ear gates hear it, what's the first thing you be like? Dang, that do sound like I'm done, you know, or you know, I need to get out of this because what am I doing? As long as I keep it in, I may not internalize.
Never come.
I might
Because
not.
unfortunately, it can become
I
a way
might,
of life.
but once you start hearing it, you like, ooh, that don't sound like that's right.
Speak it into the universe, baby. It's gonna work it out.
And that's why a lot of people are exactly, and that's why a lot of people are like damaged because they don't speak on it. They let it stay. They let it stay on the inside, and it damaged their insights internally to where they can't trust anybody. So
They manifest in life. So
so you have to be verbalized. You have to verbalize it and speak on it and put it out there to the universe and let it manifest.
right. Oh my God. Y'all
Well,
talking
this has
so
been
much.
really such a, I mean, I could go on and on and on all night long, and y'all know I could. But we're going to wrap it up. And, you know, we are going to have some phone numbers and resources. Keith, I would like for you, if you could, just to shoot me that website for men2men.org. Of course,
I
we
will.
have the hotline for the domestic violence hotline with, you know, resources. You can dial 211. Okay, and get some resources. Of course, our own, you know, one of our own women's shelters that's a friend of the show, the Genesis Women's Shelter. With this being domestic violence, we're a month. We, of course, we're focusing on it this month, but at any time, you know, we need to, you know, be aware and be cognizant and let people know that there are resources out here. There is a way out. Is a way up. There is healing that is available, you know, for anyone that is in this situation. Does anyone have any final words?
Oh, I'm
No.
Tamika story. Yeah, it's November is coming, and I remember something about a scene. And I was just
A
trying to
funeral
say
scene.
if I was still gonna get to be.
Yeah, you still in it. You can still do
Can
it.
we get to be like the funeral ladies that be falling out at the casket?
Oh, Lord, Jesus.
You know, we like to express our dramatic side every now and then.
In a big picture. Okay. Well, if not, I'm gonna have me a big head with a fan. Okay.
But listen, everybody else out there, you can check out the film Domestic that we're talking about. I left it as a link on my page, so you can.
On my page.
Skittles is going to put it on her page. I would ask each of you, at least for the night, to put that link on your page. So anybody that has not seen this film, it's been out since April. Okay, and so anybody that who has not seen that, you know, get a chance to take a look at it and everything, and you know, and see what we're talking about here tonight, because it is a very good film to me.
And they can also go to Domestic on Facebook. They have their own
Right.
page. We have our own page, so you can go to Domestic on Facebook, and the movie is there.
Okay. So just one last question. So do you plan on carrying this into like another um, movie or anything, or was this just that one short project and you're moving on to something else, or what?
Me personally,
Yes.
I don't know what Lamont has going on with his films, but
No,
I
I'm talking to
know.
Mr. Larry.
Mr.
Oh,
Miller.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, I was. Okay. Well, yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on. Of course, I'm in behind closed doors as well. Um, also out in the south, and I also have another film that I'm in called God's Tired that's coming out in January 2021.
Now, what the way you named the movie I didn't know. What was out? What was that? The one before the last
Out in the south.
one, out in the south.
out in the South.
What is that?
Okay.
I mean, I know we're talking about that, but I just want to know.
Gosh. But it's good that you're working. It's good that, we would love to know your body of work. So if you could drop us all of your information, then we can all check out, everything that you guys have going on, as well as the nights here with behind closed doors. We know that you guys are in the middle of filming that, and we can't wait for season 2 to get started and everything. But so
we also have, because Genesis Women's Outreach Center, we donated to them with the behind bedroom doors. So what we're also doing is we're selling the Stop the Violence t-shirts for domestic violence awareness. And our plan and what we're going to do is when we sell those shirts, then half of the money is going to go to Genesis Women's Outreach Center for domestic violence. And then we're also doing the breast cancer awareness, where we will do the same thing for the Susan G. Komen Foundation. There's a chapter in Wichita Falls that we're donating as well. So when people purchase those t-shirts, it is also to help us donate to those causes.
Right. So how will anyone be able to purchase the shirt? So y'all just going?
They can they can go to our Facebook page and they can see it, or they can inbox us, or they can email us at newvisionmediagroup@gmail.com and place.
And I believe you put a link to it on our Let's Chat podcast page as well.
Well,
yeah. And behind bedroom doors is coming November 14th.
What's coming?
Oh, it's coming November the 14th.
What is?
Behind bedroom doors.
Behind bedroom. I was like, wait.
I knew it was something I was forgetting. So Behind Bedroom Doors is a live production.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be at the same location?
Same location.
Give us that location.
It's 1519 Lipscomb Street in Fort Worth, Texas, at the Rose Chapel. We have Keith Mistler, who's actually our narrator, along with Maria Giddings, who plays Angela in Behind Closed Doors. That will be our narrators for that evening, our host. Then we have Cortez and Bow Legs. And then we have myself and Keisha Simone. We have Miss Essence and Tessa. And I'm Royale and Lacey.
Okay. So that should be wonderful. We're gonna see it. This is like a story being told through lip sync and with these different situations. So it's kind of dramatic and theatrical. I missed the last one, but we're gonna see. But when is it coming out? The second Behind Bedroom Doors?
And you can go to New Vision Media Group Facebook page, or you can go to our pages, and the Eventbrite link is on there where you can actually purchase your tickets already.
We can't. Like, everybody got something going on the 14th. What is it about the 14th of November this year? Like, it's a baby shower. I have a wedding party. I don't even know.
10 days after election. 10 days after election.
I'm gonna try to be there because I missed the last one, and so I'm gonna definitely try to come. But we are way over time. But you know what? We can make up our own time actually.
Can I say something real quick though?
Yeah. Okay.
I want to encourage everybody to go out there and vote. You have to go out there and vote. Your vote does matter, and we do need to go ahead and make some changes in this world. So please go vote.
Yes, absolutely. So I already voted, so I don't got mine. If I could go vote again, I'd go vote again. You know what I'm saying? 2 or 3 times. You know, I got one for my left hand and one for my right.
A different idea, change your hairstyle.
Okay. That don't take nothing.
Okay.
Well, y'all, we're gonna wrap it up because God knows we could be here all night. But thank you guys for taking the time out to come and speak with us at Let's Chat Dallas. We always count you guys as friends of the show. And anytime y'all family of the show, anytime y'all got something going on, just let us know. We'll pop this camera on and talk about it, okay?
Or we gonna come and support if we can, honey. Okay.
Well, good night.
Have a great night.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
See y'all later.